Salam sejahtera and very good morning to Miss Amida and my fellow friends. My name is Heng Cheng and my metric number is 271519. In this video, we are going to present you the speech analysis for the topic, The Danger of AI is Weirder Than You Think. Without further ado, let's get into our first analysis. The first question we are going to analyze is, how does the speaker gain attention and interest from the audience? The speaker uses several methods to gain attention from the audience. First of all, the speaker started talk by telling the audience that AI is known for disrupting various industries and question the audience what kind of ice cream flavor could be generated by an AI to raise their curiosity as well as their attention. The speaker asked what kind of astounding ice cream flavor could be generated by an artificial intelligence, implying what kind of ice cream flavor that has yet to exist could be created by an AI regardless of whether it is edible. This is an example of gaining attention from the audience by questioning them. Then the speaker posed another question to the audience where she asked, "What happened? What went wrong? Is the AI trying to kill us?" In this sentence contains the element of startling the audience, which is another example of gaining attention from the audience. Besides, another method that is being used by the speaker to gain attention is visual aids, where in the speech, the speaker shows the outcome of the AI when they try to ask the AI to do something. For instance, a series of photos about the type of ice cream could be created by an AI, a video about how an AI can move from one point to another point, and some new paint colors. The third method that is being used by the speaker is storytelling. To illustrate this method, the speaker tells a story. In movies, when something went wrong, it's usually that AI has decided to not obey the humans anymore, and it's got its own goal. By using the story that is easily understandable and well known by the audience, it can greatly enhance the comprehension of the topic. The second question we are going to analyze is, does the speaker establish his or her credibility? The speaker does establish her credibility. The speaker established her credibility by informing the audience that she had collaborated with coders from Kaling Middle School to seek out the capability of an advanced artificial intelligence. The speaker also shown her supporting evidence where she and her team had collected over 1,600 existing ice cream flavors and constructed an algorithm to the AI system and observed the outcome. Further in the speech, the speaker also delivered more credibility to convince the audience that she had conducted an experiment on an AI to invent some new paint colors. Besides, the speaker also did some research in the past where in 2016, an AI autopilot system led to a fatal accident, and she explained why the issue occurred and what caused the accident to occur. The third question we are going to analyze is, does the speaker preview the body of the speech? Yes, the speaker does preview the body of the speech. According to Kimberly McGee, a well-designed preview statement is to help your audience to understand your point of view while maintaining their attention. The speaker successfully demonstrated this method, where the speaker firstly made a statement saying that the AI is known for disrupting various industries. The speaker continued with an example of an industry that could be influenced by the AI, which is the industry of ice cream. The speaker asked what kind of completely different ice cream flavor could be created by an AI, and then installed the input into the AI and watched the outcome. The speaker previewed the body of the speech by posing a rhetorical question to the audience and then answered the question further in the speech. I want to create some new paint color, like the one on the left. This is what AI really thinks of. This is another example of the speaker previewed the body of the speech, where the speaker gave information about what kind of new paint color could be invented by an AI, allowing the audience to know that they are about to see the result of an AI invention.
Very good morning. My name is Muhammad Zainuddin Zainal. Today I want to talk about the danger of artificial intelligence is weirder than you think. Okay, what are the main point of the speech? In the speech, the first main point of the speech, the speaker points out is the artificial intelligence is known for disrupting all kinds of industries, followed by the second main points of the speech, which is solving the problem of artificial intelligence by giving the goal and let it try and error how to reach the goal. Another way to solve this problem is trained by an AI in a simulation. Okay, how the main points are spotted? Throughout the whole speech, the speaker spotted the main points with brief example, a standard example, and statistics. The speaker uses brief example in movies. When something goes wrong with AI, it's usually because the AI has decided that it doesn't want to obey the humans anymore. and it got its own goals, while in real life, the speaker briefly explained through the AI that we actually have is not nearly smart enough for that. It has the approximate computing power of an earthworm, or maybe at most single honeybee, and actually probably maybe less. We're constantly learning new things about brains that make it clear how much our AI don't measure up to real brains. Another example the speaker talked about was a fatal accident from 2016 when somebody was using Tesla autopilot AI, but instead of using it on the highway like it was designed for, they used it on city streets, and what happened was a truck drove out in front of the car and the car failed to brake. It is because the AI definitely was trained to recognize trucks in the pictures, where else the AI was trained to recognize trucks on a highway driving, where you would expect to see trucks from behind. Trucks on the side is not supposed to happen on a highway, and so on. When the AI saw this truck, it looked like the AI recognized it as most likely to be road sign and therefore safe to drive underneath. Using brief example can give the audience a simple idea and example to understand easily how artificial intelligence would lead to disaster. Moreover, the speaker used a standard example by creating an experiment where she wanted the AI to copy paint colors, to invent new paint colors. So technically it did what the speaker asked it to. The speaker thought she was asking it for like nice paint color names, but what was she actually asking it to do was just to imitate the kind of letter combination that it had seen in the original. So the entire world is the data she gave it. Using a standard example, it can pull the listeners into the speech. After that, the speakers use statistics by team up with a group of coders from the Killing Middle School, collected data over 1,600 existing ice creams flavors, and together they fed them to an algorithm to see what it would generate. By using statistics, it can help the audience to know the problem more easily. What type of organization does the speaker use? The speaker uses problem solution order to organize speech. Is at first the speaker demonstrate and show the seriousness of the problem, which is the artificial intelligence is known for disrupting all kind of industries. After that, the speaker point out which is solving the problem of artificial intelligence by giving the goal and let it try and error how to reach the goal. The speaker also told another way to solve this problem is by train an AI in a simulation. Problem solution order is a method of organizing persuasive speech in which the first main point deals with the existence of a problem and the second main point presents a solution to the problem. Moreover, while the speaker explains the problem regarding the artificial intelligence, it may lead to the audience to evaluate the artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, my name is Muhammad Shah Ikwan bin Shah Rizal with metric number 275853. Based on the speech, the danger of AI is weirder than you think. So basically, how does the speaker use the resources of the language? Based on the speech, the speaker uses a very recognizable and simple words and easily understandable to the audience, which is good, because using a recognizable terms and words in speech will attract more and adds the audience curiosity. Being curious is a normal human state that makes the audience to be more focused and will give their attention to the speech because they won't feel like they are not eligible for the speech or the speech isn't for them. The speaker also seems to understand four main rules of using the language clearly. First, she tried to use more familiar words, while also eliminating clutter and using an appropriate language, and also use a concrete words than abstract words. According to my understanding, there are two examples in the speech. First is when the speaker said, "Now if you are going to try and solve this problem by writing a traditional style computer program, you would give the program step-by-step instruction on how to take these parts. how to assemble them into a robot with legs, and then how to use those legs to walk to point B. But when you are using AI to solve the problem, it goes differently. Secondly, is using the last sentence of the speech. Is during the last sentence of the speech, the speaker said, and it's really easy to accidentally give AI the wrong problem to solve, and often we don't realize that until something has actually gone wrong. Through those two examples, we can conclude that the speaker is using the easiest and simplest type of analogy to make her audience understand what she is trying to say instead of throwing in random computer terms and some unrecognizable computer language. She gave an analogy that is quite easy to imagine and not merely focus on the computer kind of terms which can affect the audience that are not really familiar with the topic. I believe that the speaker had successfully managed to make her audience understand and get along well with the speech. Secondly, is what are the types of connective used in the speech? Are connective effectively used? So, as to put in a simpler word, connective is like a more mannered way of guiding your audience to the other topic rather than using verbal tics such as and Connective will make it easier for your audience to follow the speech while also remember what the speech is all about. Based on the speech, the danger of AI is wider than you think. The speaker had used several connective in her speech. Transition is basically telling the audience that the speaker is about to advance from the first idea to the next one. The first transition that she uses is the rhetorical question type of transition. As an example, the speaker asks, what kind of mind-blowing new flavors could we generate with the power of an advanced artificial intelligence? As by using the rhetorical question will add the curiosity to the audience and makes them wonder. Next, the most frequent transition the speaker been using is so before going to the next point. There are three examples. The first one is when the speaker said, so you see how hard is it to get AI to do something as simple as just walk. The next example is, so this little robot here is being controlled by AI. The speaker also combined the transition of so with a rhetorical question. So the question is, what happened? What went wrong? Is AI trying to kill us? The second connective is the internal previews. Internal previews are more detailed than simple transitional phrases, but serve a similar function. While the preview in the introduction discloses to the audience the general points to be made in the speech, the internal preview outlines the critical points to be made within the body of the speech. Otherwise speaking, internal preview is a more detailed kind of transition. Example of internal preview that's been used by the speaker is, let's say that you are trying to get an AI to this collection of robot parts and assemble them into some kind of robot to get from point A to point B. The speaker is about to give a sneak peek of the next point by making the audience imagine first what they are about to be told. What kind of reasoning that the speaker relies on the most throughout the speech? The speaker uses a causal reasoning in her speech. To put the matter another way, causal reasoning is establishing connection between causes and effects. From the speech by Janelle, there are a few examples of causal reasoning that's been used in a speech. The first example is, you don't tell it how to solve the problem, you just give it a goal, and it has to figure it out for itself via trial and error how to get to that goal. And it turns out that the way AI tends to solve this particular problem is by doing this. It assembles itself into a tower and then falls over and lands on point B. The danger of AI is not that it's going to rebel against us. It is that it is going to do exactly what we ask it to do. So based on the example above, the main cause that leads to the effect is the scientists did not give the exact guideline on how to solve the problem. They just give the AI what they wanted, which is the goal. And the effect for this cause is AI assembles itself to a tower and lands on point B. The next example is this AI's job was to move fast. They didn't tell it that it had to run facing forward or that it couldn't use its arms. So this is what you get when you train an AI to move fast. You get things like somersaulting and silly walks. According to the second example, the cause of the problem is the scientists only told the AI that its job is to move fast. To move fast without exactly telling them how to do it. They did not tell the AI whether they had to run facing forward or forbid them to use their arms to move fast. So as the result, the AI did move fast, but by somersaulting and making silly walks. That's all from me. Thank you.
What type of emotional appeal does the speaker use? Are they effectively used? The speaker using the pathos in her speech to effectively persuasive the audience using emotional appeal to make they feel the same emotion as speaker feel and want to deliver appropriate reaction. According to Intan Fitri Nakibah 2019, say, pathos is referred to the use of emotional appeal. This will eventually help to generate compassion as well as other feelings such as anger, fear, sadness, and so on in the audience. In her speech, the speaker using fear and guilty emotion, as she mentioned in her words, such as there was a fatal accident when somebody was using Tesla autopilots, artificial intelligence, but instead of using it on highway like it was designed for, they used it on a city street. And what happened was the truck drove out in front of the car and the car failed to brake. While there are many emotions that speaker can choose in pathos, this work to instill in their audience. It is important for them to carefully consider the best emotion that will be used in order for the message to be delivered successfully to the audience. Okay, next, what method to use to prepare the audience for ending the speech? In the end of her speech, the speaker applied the dissolve ending method to conclude all of her statement. For example, when she said that when we're working with artificial intelligence AI, it is up to us to avoid problem and avoiding things going wrong that may come to the age-old problem of communication, where we as humans have to learn how to communicate with AI. We have to learn what AI is capable of doing and what is not, and to understand that with its tiny little warm brain. AI doesn't really understand what we are trying to ask it to do. So in other words, we have to be prepared to work with AI that is not super competent. All-knowing AI of science fiction, we have to be prepared to work with an AI that is the one what we actually have in the present day. And present day AI is plenty well enough. Okay, the dissolve ending method create the emotional stance by fading step by step to a dramatic final statement. This ending method is used by speaker because it's matched and perfectly with the title of speech that more about fear and guilty emotions. Next, how does the speaker reinforce the central idea? Okay, in her speech, the speaker reinforced the central idea with summarize your speech method. by restarting the main point to end her speech. She summarized that we, as humans, have to learn how to communicate with AI. We have to learn what artificial intelligence AI is capable of doing, what is not, and to understand that with its tiny little warm brain, AI doesn't really understand what we are trying to ask it to do. So in other words, we have to be prepared to work with AI that is not super competent, all-knowing AI of science fiction. We have to be prepared. And present day AI is plenty aware enough. People tend to focus the beginning and ending, then middle of it. The way speaker relate the ending with main point will help the audience to recall back their memory about the central idea. This method is quite simple and easy to apply by speaker. It also acts as a strong key point to be remembered until end of speaking.